What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we have to talk about the Warner Media sale, part of AT&T, right? Kind of offloading this, and there's a lot of confusion going on here. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to lie to you guys, and clearly, I'm not like a legal person. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not really, I don't know a lot of the lingo, and I honestly don't think almost anybody on YouTube knows any of the lingo. So, what I think I want to do in this video is talk about what we know specifically about the gaming division. I think that's obviously the interest that a lot of you guys have. Obviously, I talk a lot about WB Games, right? That's one of the biggest pillars, I would say, of my channel. So is it going to impact them? I honestly don't think so, at least in the short term, but I definitely want to talk about it. So, we can talk about the specifics, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Gotham Knights, Hogwarts Legacy. We'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about some of the future things, but we'll also talk about this deal in case anybody kind of missed out. I know this happened, about midday yesterday. I decided to put it up today, okay? So, before we jump in, thank you guys so much for 50K. Face reveal Friday, lots of other stuff Friday and Saturday. I know I announced that stuff on Twitter, but make sure you guys are continuing to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon, all that good stuff. 75 is the next milestone. I'm not going to push it insanely hard, but make sure you guys are subscribed. And if you want to subscribe to my second channel as well, Podcast Now Plus is its name. Link is in the description below. Okay, so pretty much AT&T has sold off Warner Media, okay? They, I believe, are doing it in a big part to pay off a lot of their debt. Remember, this has been multiple times that WB Games has been in the talks of, okay, do you just sell the gaming division? What do you do with the comic book division, right? And part of the reason why you would sell off the gaming division is to offload some of your debt. So AT&T has enormous debt, and this definitely helps. This definitely helps them in their debt, just selling it off, really not having to worry about it anymore. So they're selling it to Discovery, okay? Now, it really has a lot to do with HBO Max. It has a lot to do with streaming. That is the primary focus, I would say, of the sale. Again, I'm not a legal person, but from everything that I've read of other people talking about it, now I don't read CNN, but like CNN, New York Times, all these different places that has been covering the sale, there it seems like the biggest thing is the streaming, specifically HBO Max. We've seen people at the heads of all of these different divisions probably going to be leaving very, very soon, right? If they haven't already left. But WB Games, now comics actually transfer over, but WB Games is one of the very interesting ones in that it's going to be broken up. Some of the gaming arm will stay with AT&T, and some will go with the new company going into Discovery. A rep tells Axios, okay? No further info. Warner Bros. Games lists 11 studios, games of all kinds of IP devices. And now we've talked about Warner Bros. Studios actually in the past. They have 11. I would say in reality that we look at them, they probably have somewhere in the range of like 6 to 8 in terms of the ones that people seemingly online care about. That's not to be anti the other ones. I'm not saying like they're garbage or they should be, canceled or closed or anything like that. But it seems obviously like Warner Bros. Montreal, Rocksteady, NetherRealm, Monolith. These are some of the bigger ones that they have. Avalanche Software for Hogwarts Legacy. Okay, so this is one of the only things that has this example going on. Again, the comics, I believe, fully goes over. HBO Max fully goes over. All this stuff fully transfers. But the gaming division doesn't. Now, you could say that's a good thing or a bad thing. And one more time, just to make it crystal clear, I'm just talking about my own opinion. I don't really know. I was half considering not even talking about this because, to be honest, it is so up in the air that really we're not going to know the impact of this until possibly years down the line. You know what I mean? So to make a video, obviously we're doing it, but this could very well change. I could be so wrong, it's not even funny. I would... the pessimistic side of me does come out. I would imagine it's for a reason that like AT&T wants to have some hand on something. And that's very, very vague. But to me, because this is like the only thing that is kind of being split, and not necessarily split 50-50, but split in general, to me signals like AT&T still wants some of the stuff. Now, AT&T in the bigger picture, they still hold some of the shares, so they still make money off a lot of this stuff. It's just Discovery kind of owns it and is kind of functioning through them. So maybe it's just part of that. But I would say, I know I've kept you guys waiting long enough. I would say the games that are in the works right now, nothing happens, nothing changes. It would be the same thing if WB Games was sold to Microsoft, if it was sold to Sony, if it was sold to EA, Activision, Take-Two. Remember, all of these were, I guess not necessarily Sony, but there were a lot of companies kind of sniffing around to see if they wanted WB Games. I honestly think nothing would have changed back then, and I still think nothing changes now. Suicide Squad still comes out. Gotham Knights still comes out. Hogwarts Legacy, Back for Blood, Lego Star Wars, Monolith's next game. I would say any game currently in development. Now, the interesting thing is, like, NetherRealm, we don't know what their next game is. It could be Injustice, it could be a Marvel game, right? And it could be announced at E3, it could be announced at DC Fandom, but just so we're all clear, and I hope, I want to give my audience credit for being this smart, so please make sure you back me up here. I hope you guys all know and are aware that just because you announce something doesn't mean you started it yesterday. The games that specifically NetherRealm is working on, they've been working on for a long time. Nothing happens with it. It arguably is in the same state as Suicide Squad, Killer Justice League. Monolith, same thing. Yes, they've been very silent. Yes, they actually said that they're not going to E3. Now, do I believe them? Not necessarily, but they said that. But they've been working on a game. It's not like they're sitting there fiddling their thumbs doing literally nothing. So all of these games, even though some of them, at least 2 that we know of, and maybe more, are so like deep in development but also quiet, right, where we don't really know anything about them, I think they're all going to be fine. It's the future. It's the future. To be honest with you, and I would have said the same thing for if Microsoft bought them, if anything else bought them, I think it just comes down to like future decision making. Do they look at Gotham Knights and they say, okay, well, we want to change things up. We want to do something different. Do they look at Suicide Squad and say, we want to change things up? Again, not with that game, but with the next one. I think, even if the Microsoft stuff with Bethesda has taught us anything, is these companies, yeah, a lot of them are just like, the people in tuxedos and fancy dresses, and they don't really know anything about the real world or gaming specifically, I guess, for this discussion. Yes, they are. But I think in general, too, the people in charge of certain things, they do actually know. So, like, Phil Spencer, he actually does have a heart, right? So when he buys Bethesda, or when Microsoft, because it's not just actually him, when they buy Bethesda, they're like, okay, well, Ghostwire Tokyo, Deathloop, these were games that are already made, right? They're being currently constructed. Like, we're going to let them continue, and we'll let them publish with Sony. Like, these things happen. So that's what makes me very optimistic about the present, no matter what the shift is. Oh, and by the way, something very important to note. It's the same thing with Bethesda where, this announcement was yesterday, right? Same thing with, like, Microsoft announced the Bethesda thing a long time ago, but the deal actually doesn't go through for a long time. This deal, this Warner Media, switchover, doesn't actually go through till halfway through next year. So probably around, I wouldn't say maybe over, but around another year away. So until then, everything runs as normal. You know what I mean? There could very well be uncertainty after that year, but as of right now, everything is as it is. You know what I mean? And then when it switches over, that's the thing. So, I mean, yes, does Gotham Knights, like, okay, so say they release Gotham Knights in February. Well, what do they do after that? Because they're still kind of in limbo from, say, February to, like, June. And if it's the same thing with Microsoft Bethesda, they're not allowed, Discovery wouldn't be allowed to tell Gotham Knights or Warner Bros. Montreal what to do until that deal's through. But again, is Warner Bros. Montreal staying with AT&T? That's really the thing to me. Again, that's why, kind of hesitant to make a video. Depends on which studios are leaving and which are staying. If Warner Bros. Montreal is staying, then maybe they just continue as they are, right? If Avalanche Software, right, the people who are making Hogwarts Legacy, they make Hogwarts, they finish it, and then this goes through, but they say they move. Well, do they have to, like, kind of do an evaluation of them and say, okay, well, we want you to change things up? It depends. It depends. And I think, I would say the games and the companies that seem the most secure and safe would be the most secure and safe, and nothing would really happen to them. So I think a lot rests on, and that's kind of the weird thing, right? Everybody's making a game right now. And in fact, a lot of their judgments, quote-unquote judgments, are happening very soon. So, like, Gotham Knights comes out, it does terrible. I think that, if they move over to Discovery, that could influence something. They look at them and they say, okay, one game in 8 years, or 9 years at the time that Gotham Knights may come out. One game in a decade, basically. It wasn't that good. It wasn't well received. Okay, well, we have some, maybe that happens. But, I don't think you spend as many billions of dollars as Discovery does on all of this. Now, again, the gaming division is just one part of the overall package. But, you're paying a lot of money, and I'm sure the gaming division was discussed in some capacity, right? So, again, a lot of unknown, but I would say in the short term, I would say everything's safe. I really don't think there's anything to concern ourselves about or be overly worried about. In terms of what happens later, I mean, could studios close? Yeah. Could studios all stay open? Sure. You know, I honestly, I don't know if it's an equal odd, but I think both are definitely possible. Do franchises continue? Does Gotham Knights 2 come out? Does Rocksteady continue down their path? Does a second Hogwarts Legacy come out? Sure. Could they have them pivot and do something that they want them to do? Sure. It depends on how, and see, I don't know this, how like holding of their hand are they? You know, we hear like Sony is a very hands-off approach. You make whatever. Now, they may shoot your stuff down, like a Days Gone 2 and stuff like that, but they let you go. And especially once you have something that's approved by them, you just go. And obviously you have to check in here and there, but you're on your own. And I don't know exactly the path. I don't even know the path, honestly. If you guys know, let me know. I don't even know what they do right now. Like, obviously you have to pitch ideas. There's no doubt that Monolith didn't pitch an idea or Warner Bros. Montreal didn't pitch Gotham Knights. But did they get directed in that way, right? Did they say, cancel that Damian Wayne game and move on to something similar? And they said, okay, well, what about Gotham Knights? And they said, sure. So I don't know how they steer developers as it is. And then, you know, how will that change? Are they going to be very, well, we want you to make this game, and then you can just go. We're not going to hold your hand. You have freedom, but we want you to make this specific game. Or are they very, again, like a Sony kind of thing, very hands off and say, okay, what do you got? And then go ahead and make it. All depends. And we're not going to know. Hopefully we know soon which ones stay and which ones go, but I don't think we'll know everything for sure until like this time next year, which is, again, a very long time away. I would say everybody just relax and focus on the games that are coming. Let's all get mad that Gotham Knights hasn't showed itself in forever, Hogwarts Legacy. Let's get mad at that, and let's get excited for when these games come out, and then we can do all Doomsday stuff in a few months or a year or so from now, right? I think we can all agree on that. So let me know, guys, in the comments below, what do you think? What do you think changes? What do you think stays the same? Do you have a better understanding of it than I am? I wouldn't doubt it. Let me know in the comments below. Again, thank you for 50K. Let's keep going. Subscribe, bell icon, all that good stuff. Give the video a like. If you guys want to subscribe to my second channel, link for it is in the description below, Podcast Now Plus. You can also just look it up on YouTube. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you all on the next video.